Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the World Class Waffle podcast. This week we come to you for episode 13 of the podcast. And this week we feature another different episode again. This week, because nothing's really happened in the news, as per usual, when we try and do a planning meeting for these podcasts, nothing actually happens. So this week we're going to be discussing all things Euro 2020, 2021, because obviously it's now been pushed back for this year, and we're going to be discussing who we think should be in the England squad, whether it's going to be solely taking place in the UK, and who are the favourites for the tournament. Rob and John join me again as per usual, and I think this will be an interesting episode for us to record, with us all being football fans, and see who we have decided to go in our England squad, because before we started recording this, we have put together a 23-man squad that we would take to the Euros this year. I think majority of it will be the same, but there will be some differences, as any normal conversation would do in any normal debate. But anyway, so what do we think of England's chances going forward for this year at Euro 2021?
Well, I just want to say that it's going to be called Euro 2020. It's in 2021, but it would have cost them so many millions. That's why they kept the same name. It's why Tokyo is going to be still called Tokyo 2020, because it will cost them so much millions for marketing, the amount of merchandise they've made to change it. Like, it's too far gone for that. I mean, they cancelled it 3 months before the tournament started last year. Like, it would have cost them heavily with that. English chances, I mean, depends, because obviously it's a good incentive that the final and semi-finals are at Wembley as of now. Whether or not it gets changed and the whole tournament's in England depends. But there's an announcement in April for that. But it's a good incentive for the English players to know that the final is at Wembley. So with that, I think we're favourites.
One thing I will say that you probably haven't seen, the high quality cinematic background on my screen of our fantastic logo. Thank you to Zoom.
Yeah, I rate that.
Thank you to Zoom for helping me. Well, they didn't actually sort it out for me. I just played around my settings and put it as my background, but it took time and effort, and it looks amazing. But anyway, going forward to Euro 2020, shut up. Euro 2020. Is it going to be held solely in England? I think because COVID's still around, I think it has to be, really. It has to go into one country. I mean, there was talk of France being the sole host. There was talk about Germany being the sole host. Yeah. But I don't think it would work for Germany because they've got the 2024 Euros.
It seems, UEFA seem to be pretty settled on the idea of it moving it solely to one country. And reports that came out this week, and one of the few bits of news that actually did happen this week, is that apparently England's looking very likely, as we are currently doing the best with vaccinations. As we've spoken about in previous weeks, we are streets ahead of the rest of Europe, which is why we are now. We've become early favourites, but obviously everything at the moment in the country, it all depends on vaccines. If we fall apart and Germany or France will ever step up, then by April, when the final decision's made, then one of them might take over.
Well, yeah, that's it. I'm looking at two different articles here. Daily Mail is saying that a UEFA member, and this is I've read this in multiple publications. A UEFA member accidentally revealed that England is highly likely, and 442 are going with that and saying that England very likely to be sole host of the Euros this summer. I mean, well, if a UEFA member's opened his mouth where he shouldn't have, there's already discussions been made. But yeah, the final announcement won't be until middle of April for that. It'd be nice to have the Euros.
It would be nice
in England.
Certainly.
Circa 1996 vibes. I know you guys weren't around then, but
Oh no.
No.
Those were scenes. That was my first tournament I ever experienced. So
I think
nice to have it in England.
I think the Euro 2020 in England is becoming a high possibility. I've seen a load of leaning journalists say on Twitter that there is a lot of rumors going around that the UK, well, I say the UK, England will be the sole host of the Euros. It poses questions again which stadiums would they use? Would they have to modify certain stadiums? Would they have to, build new ones?
Some of England's stadiums are very good. I mean, you've got St James's Park that holds 50,000+.
They normally have about 12 venues for the Euros, so you'd have to find 12 venues in the UK.
If they were going with their original plan, there's 12 host cities, so 12 stadiums.
Yeah.
12 stadiums. I'd say St James's Park would be one. Anfield, Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Tottenham,
3.
Arsenal. Maybe Arsenal.
You probably can't have 3 in the same city though, because obviously Wembley, Spurs' ground, and Arsenal are probably all within 5-mile radius.
They'd want it dotted around the country. So St Mary's would be one.
I think Leicester's ground would be one.
Yes.
Maybe you'd probably say Sunderland as well. You'd say Sunderland as well.
Maybe Sunderland.
Yeah, Stadium of Light, 46,000. Yeah.
Where else? Villa Park. That's the only big ground in Birmingham.
Villa Park may be one of them. Yeah, we've got enough.
There's certainly options on the table for us to host Euro 2020, but the problem is a lot of our stadiums are aging, and would they be up to the standards for hosting a European Championships?
Yeah, I mean, I can see why they're doing it, because if they want to go with their original plan, it involves a lot of travelling and a lot of countries that ain't up to the standard of the UK's vaccine rollout. You know, so I can see why they'd want to keep it into one country and then maybe go again in a few years' time or a couple of tournament lengths time with the Pan Euros, where it's all over.
I don't think that'll ever work. I think that was a silly idea. I mean, you've got teams like Switzerland and Wales that were supposed to be playing their opening game in Baku, for goodness sake. I mean, no Welshman is going to want to go to Baku to watch them play Switzerland.
Tell that to Arsenal and Chelsea fans. Remember when they had to go there for the Euros, the Europa League final?
No Welshman is going to want to go to Baku just to watch them play Switzerland. It's a logistical nightmare because everyone's playing in different countries. There's so much travel involved. I just think the whole idea itself wouldn't have really worked. It'd have been too much of a logistical nightmare, and the quality of football will probably be lower because they're traveling so much, the players.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to see. Obviously, we'd mucked that up.
Yeah,
but it would, because I think they done it because mainly most countries don't get to host the Euros. I think that's why the reason they were doing it, because the likes of Baku, Romania, Hungary, even Ireland and Scotland had games scheduled at the Aviva and Hampden Park. It would have been good for the fans. Not necessarily who can get to a Euros, because it's mainly the major countries that host the Euros, because they have the facilities. So, but sticking it to
they've already confirmed Germany as being the sole host nation for 2024, and they did an excellent job at the World Cup in 2006. So
they did.
They're in good shape.
That's painful. 2006 was England's best chance to win something.
Yeah.
The team that they had, and Portugal were average in that tournament. They didn't even get to the final. It was that was England's best chance so far of making it to win something, I reckon.
Blame Wayne Rooney.
We said that. A few
you
times,
certainly can't blame Ronaldo for what happened. He played his part. No.
I feel like that's something we might look back at in a few years' time and say about this England setup as well. Because the way I see it, we've got an incredibly strong squad, but I think we'll be sitting here, like we say, we're looking on 10, 15 years later, saying that England a great chance. I feel like we'll be sitting here 15 years later from now and say, how did we not go further in Euro 2021? Or
again, 2020 and 2018 in Russia, mathematically England had a better squad than Croatia in a sense. But
blame Harry Kane for that when he should have squared it to Sterling.
Yeah, Croatia had more star players than England, but England as a squad in general were probably stronger than Croatia, and that would have been our best chance to get to a major final since God knows how long. 66, wasn't it?
Yeah,
something like that.
We got to Italian 90 semi-final, Euro 96 semi-final, World Cup 2018 semi-final. That's it.
Yeah.
But I think that England squad was one of our best ones that we've had. It was an older squad, but there was some youth in it. And it does bring us on to the question of who would we pick in our England squads. Now, we've all drafted a 23-man squad to go to the Euros this summer. And it'll be interesting to see whether we agree on them or whether there is some notable differences that have been put in.
Well, to be honest.
So we'll go through each positions, starting with the 3 goalkeepers. And I think this one's probably the easiest one to do, because I think this one is a no-brainer.
Yeah, get it. The reason why we got this one out of the way now. For me, it's Pickford,
Pope and Henderson all the way.
Yep, completely agree.
Nah.
No.
Pope, Henderson and Butland.
Butland hasn't played for Palace at all.
I just don't like Jordan Pickford. He's a bit of a calamity. Like he has his moments, and you don't need that as a goalkeeper. You need to be on top form all the time.
The problem is
certainly
that
has his moments.
Everton, he's a bit here, there, and everywhere. But for England, he's never let England down. And as a goalkeeper for England, he suits our style of play, distribution, playing out from the back. He's good on the ball. Whereas, for example, someone like Pope, with me being a Burnley fan, is hard to say, but he's not good on the ball. He's a better shot stopper than Pickford, but distribution is certainly not his strong point.
If you're going by performances throughout the Premier League and on merit, he wouldn't get in my team. Maybe not Butland, but Fraser Forster for Celtic, maybe.
But then you could argue Dean Henderson as well, because he hasn't actually played for Man United much this season at all. And the only real other English keeper that has started is Alex McCarthy. And he's had a bit of a shocker this season at times.
I mean, Henderson's played enough. He's played more games than he should. I reckon he should have had.
I was to say, I think Ben's point is the key thing with Pickford is that Everton, he gets all his mistakes out in the Premier League games with Everton, but he seems almost like he's a different player when he comes to England. He saves all his strongest performances of his career for tournament games with England.
I mean, that save he made against Colombia in 2018. They scored from the resulting corner, but that save he made against Colombia from about a 40-yard effort that he just fingertips over the bar, that's probably one of his best ever saves for England. And obviously, he's a hero in one of our many interesting penalty shootouts, because he can take them, he can save them, which is a useful asset to have.
What's your 3 keepers, Rob?
I've gone Pickford, Pope, Henderson as well.
Okay.
So why would you say Jack Butland?
Themselves, really, but
anyone but Pickford, really.
It's interesting. That's an interesting
decision. I just think he's made too many mistakes. As England #1 goalkeeper, he's made far too many mistakes in the Premier League. When Joe Hart was England's #1 and he started making consistent mistakes, people started questioning him. Why aren't people questioning Pickford?
I think a lot of people are from his Premier League form, but then he doesn't make mistakes for England. Yeah. That's what keeps him his spot. Because if you're going off general Premier League form, Nick Pope's the obvious person to start, because he's the best English keeper in the Premier League. But if you're going off international form, Jordan Pickford's never let England down.
I mean, I know I'm a Man United fan, but I mean, with this squad, Pope would be my #1.
Interesting. So, I mean, I'm a Burnley fan, and I still don't think Nick Pope should be #1. I think it's between the two, because they've both got different characteristics, Pope and Pickford.
I do understand what your point is with Pickford, John, but then I would argue with that. Surely you still take him and just not play him. He'd still be there
but that's why Butland's there, third choice. He ain't going to get played, but he's still making up the numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, but then you might as well take Pickford down that point. And if it's going to be just a case of the only plays if we get 2 horrible injuries, you might as well still take him, because at least he's experienced.
Fair.
Well, England normally name 4 keepers in their provisional 25-man squad and then drop one out. So would Pickford be that 4th keeper for you, or would you still not pick him?
Oh, yeah, I'd have him as 4th, but I don't think he'd make my 3.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I think in my starting 11 would be Jordan Pickford. It's close between Pickford and Pope, because Pope's a better shot stopper than Pickford. But Pickford's all-round game for England is much better and suits the style of play that Southgate plays.
Yeah, I think I would predict that Pickford would start, and when we've chosen our own things, I'm going off as if who I would play rather than who Southgate would play, and I would put Pope in.
Well, obviously, I'd love Pope to play. I would absolutely love a Burnley goalkeeper to be England's #1. But I'm going off who I think Southgate would pick. My heart said
I've not
Pope.
done that,
My head
definitely.
said Pickford.
Then I haven't
definitely-
gone off of what Southgate would pick. This is meant to be your team and who you'd pick. You're the England manager. You make the decisions.
I have picked. I think, but goalkeeper at Pope for me. If it's going
There
off,
we go.
if it's going off my head.
Well, there you go. We're unanimous. Nick Pope. If
Right.
Southgate's listening, Pope, mate. Pope's the one.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
Moving on to defenders. Let's go.
I've named 8 defenders here.
Okay.
I've got 8 as well.
I've got 7.
7. Okay. I've gone Kieran Trippier.
Right.
Yep.
Reece James.
No,
Right.
not in mine.
Kyle Walker.
Nope.
John
Right.
Stones.
Yep.
Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
Connor Cody.
Yep.
Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
And Ben Chilwell.
Yeah. I've got most of them. Yeah. Where I differ from you is I've gone Trent Alexander-Arnold over Reece James, and then I've gone Tyrone Mings over Kyle Walker.
Mings would be one of my honourable mentions.
Yeah, that's the decision I had to make. Because I'd originally done a 25 and then chalked 2 off. It was who do I keep, Mings and Walker, because they can both play centre back and one of the fullback spots. But I settled on Mings in the end.
Fair enough. It depends which formation Southgate plays though, because Mings would be perfect in a back 3. Absolutely perfect.
That's why I chose him in the end.
But
I think
Kyle Walker's a bit of a utility player because he can play as a wing back. But as we saw at the World Cup in 2018, he was brilliant at centre back in a back 3.
Yeah, but Mings just pips him for me just because I think if in 5 at the back, left centre back and the 5 at the back will be the best option we have.
I've gone with Kyle Walker, Reece James, Tomori, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings, Ben Chilwell, Luke Shaw.
Tomori's an interesting one because
he's having a good season at AC Milan.
That's an interesting one because Tomori's got a bit of pace to him, which can provide a different asset for England. But I think I would play a 4 at the back for England. I don't think the back 3's working anymore.
I would as well.
I think people have found out our 3 at the back formation and figured out how we play. So I would start. I'd go Kieran Trippier at right back. I'd play my 2 centre backs as John Stones and Harry Maguire, and then Luke Shaw at left back.
Yeah, I've gone Maguire. If I've set up a 4, what I'd start as a 4 and what I'd start as a 5. I've gone Maguire and Stones in the middle, Shaw at left back as well for a 4 back, and then I'll put Alexander-Arnold at right back. I mean, obvious reasons really for being a Liverpool fan, and also
I've left Trent out of my squad completely.
Yeah, I don't rate him.
He's had a good season this season.
He's too overrated.
Squad.
Too overrated for me.
I think he still needs. So I do agree. He's had a poor season, but I think he's still got to be there because when he's on form, we haven't got anyone better. But it's just, is he going to reach that form?
I think attacking wise, Trent Alexander is probably one of the best fullbacks in the league, but his defensive qualities is what lets him down. And if he's playing as a right back instead of a wing back, that's what could let him down, and that's what keeps him out of my squad.
For my back 4, I'd go Walker, Mings, Maguire, Chilwell.
Again, it's the back 4 is a tricky one because we've got so many options. I mean, on my honourable mention list, I've got Lewis Dunk.
Yeah,
I think he's been brilliant for Brighton. He's underrated.
Was unlucky
also James Tarkowski as well.
Yeah.
Ben Mee, all English talents.
I've left out John Stones, Connor Cody, Phil Jones. You know.
Oh, we know you love Phil Jones. You love Phil Jones.
Guy's a fraud. Right, going on to midfielders, boys. Who you got?
I've gone with 6 midfielders.
I've got 7. Well, I'll say quickly as well as I've got a 5 back set up as well. It's primarily the same, but I've gone Mings and Cody as with Stones because I think they're much better suited to back 3. And then
if I was going to say at 5 at the back, Reece James, Kyle Walker, John Stones, and Harry Maguire, and then Chilwell.
I think for me, Cody's got to be in there if you play back 3 because he plays it every week. Maguire has to go. I don't think from previous experience, Maguire can't play a back three, so he'd have to go.
True.
And Cody come in.
That's the one I'd change if ever it was.
Yeah.
But let's move on to.
I'll move on now.
I've named 6 midfielders, but a lot of these could either go into the defensive side or into the attacking side.
Yeah. I've got 7.
I've named 6. I've gone for Phil Foden, Declan, Jack Grealish, Mason Mount, Eric Dyer, and Reuben Loftus-Cheek.
No, I haven't got that one either. I've got obviously, I've agreed with you with some. I've gone. Well, I wanted to say Jordan Henderson, but I don't. It's not looking likely he's going to be fit. So then I just thought I don't know who to put in now. So I've settled on Harry Winks because he's the most similar kind of player to that Henderson role. Don't really want him there. I hope Henderson would be fit so we could take him. And then I've then chucked in Bukayo Saka because of his versatility. He can play 4 or 5 different positions in the attack or the midfield, and I think he's really a good man to take as just a 23rd who just injury cover really.
I agree.
Yeah, I've gone with 8 midfielders. I've gone with Bukayo Saka, Mason Mount, Harvey Barnes, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, Declan Rice, James Maddison, and Jadon Sancho.
Well,
I've got Maddison as well. Sorry.
As we are recording this, I don't think Harvey Barnes will be going because he's picked up quite a serious injury for Leicester today.
Yes, he did. But
which could rule him out.
If he was fit and it was me as England boss, I'd take him because I rate him very highly. He's very good. A very good player.
Absolutely. But in terms of my 6 that I chose, I think the 2 controversial ones are Dyer and Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Eric Dyer, if we were playing him in a back 3, I'd say no chance he won't get in the squad. But
he is a bit Dyer, isn't he?
Don't ever say that ever again. If you're playing him as a defensive midfielder, I think that's where he's more better suited, but I still don't think you get another Declan Rice.
No, Declan Rice is on it this season. He's very, very good.
Which is why he would start for me, because the formation I've picked to start with is 4-3-3. And
I've gone
Declan Rice as a defensive midfielder and then Grealish and Mount in front of him.
I think, I've gone Declan Rice as defensive, and then I've gone Grealish, same as you have, and then I've gone Foden over Mount because I think he can do the box-to-box role. He can basically play anywhere in the midfield, and I think on form, he's not on current form. Obviously, we've still got quite a few months. I don't think any midfielder is performing better than him. Even Grealish at the moment is not performing better than Foden in terms of English ones.
But now Kevin De Bruyne is back for Manchester City. Foden's chances are limiting because he's been left out the last 3 games that De Bruyne has been back.
True, yeah. Then I think, I would be. In my head, I'd want to then say Maddison because I think he's a better player, but I think Mason Mount suits that role better in the team. So that'd be who I'd come in if I would agree with you.
Just going back to the defenders briefly, my heart would say Charlie Taylor deserves a call up, the Burnley left back, because he is an attack-minded fullback. Yeah. But his injury that he picked up this season has set him back. Because he is a different sort of left back. He's good defensively, he's good attackingly. But they wouldn't just call him up just for the Euros. He'd need to be in before that to get a run in the team.
Yeah.
But then again, he wouldn't get in ahead of Shaw or Chilwell.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I do see where you're coming from, but I think if you're only going to take 2 left backs, really, although I've chose Saka who can cover there, and same with Mings, but Chilwell and Shaw stand out performers. I mean, Shaw unbelievable this season, and Chilwell's been England's number 1 for a while, so he's always going to go.
Exactly. Is there anyone else that you might? Well, I had James Maddison on my honourable mentions list, but having thought that he could go.
My only other awkward one was Harry Winks, but that's purely because I want to say Henderson, but I think he's going to be injured, so I had no idea who else to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't take Harry Winks anywhere near the England squad. He's not playing for Spurs.
That was basically a case of I need somebody else defensive minded because Henderson's probably going to be injured, who's played well for England recently, and Harry Winks was very good in the last couple of games he has played. So I picked off England form rather than Premier League form there.
Well, then you could argue Calvin Phillips when he's back fit again.
Yeah, that is a very good one actually. Yeah, I'd actually forgotten about him. I think
because he's been out for so long now.
He's not been injured though. His nan died.
Well, he was injured as well. He
did have an injury.
Oh, okay, yeah, but the reson why he's out at the minute is because his nan died.
Should we move on to
I've had forgotten about him. To be fair, I think I will. I'm going to edit that now. I think I completely forgot about that. Harry Winks is out.
I'd definitely take Calvin Phillips over Eric Dyer.
Yeah, I completely forgotten about Calvin Phillips.
And I'm going to change that right now.
That's what happens when somebody's injured for so long.
I thought about Calvin Phillips, and I was like, he doesn't get in ahead of all the other guys that I've picked.
Well, the other controversial one that I picked was Reuben Loftus-Cheek. Now, he goes under the radar at Fulham. He was very good when he was in the Chelsea side and was in the England setup. And I feel like he's quite a versatile midfielder because he can play in attacking roles and he can play in a defensive role. And he does go under the radar. Injuries have set him back. But because he's at Fulham, he's not going to get the opportunity.
I can see where you're coming from, but I just think if Maddison's the alternative option, if you're between those two, I think Maddison wins that all the time for me, really.
Yeah, it was between Maddison and Loftus-Cheek, but I'd just edge Loftus-Cheek because I feel he's more versatile than Maddison.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that does suit quite well, to be fair. I mean, I'm shooting the majority of forwards we've picked the same, but we might as well move on to it anyway.
Yeah, I've named 6 again.
I've gone 5 this time because I put the extra midfielder in.
I've gone, Harry Kane, obviously. England skipper, he has to be in.
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford.
Obviously.
Jadon Sancho.
Yeah.
Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
Saka.
Oh, yeah. So I've had him as well.
And Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
See, that's the one where I thought
it was between Calvert-Lewin and Ings for me.
Yeah.
That's the other striker.
I had the same debate, but I settled on Danny Ings just because I thought Calvert-Lewin and Harry Kane are very similar, as Ings provides something a bit different off the bench.
Yeah.
I've gone with Marcus Rashford, Raheem Sterling, Harry Kane, Mason Greenwood, Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Mason Greenwood's an interesting one again because
he's on my honourable mentions.
He's not played for the senior side yet, but again,
he played against Iceland.
Did he?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
He played against Iceland.
Oh yeah, because he got into all that trouble, didn't he?
Him and Phil Foden got sent home because they brought girls back to the hotel.
Yeah. I still don't think he'd get in my 23 though.
He was him and Kyle Walker were the two I had in my. Obviously, they pick a 25, then knock it down. They were the two that I had in my 25 and got rid of. But again, purely for the versatility option because he can play on the wing. He's so 2-footed as well that I would still take Danny Ings over him because it's a proper number 9. Although I think that would be just a different because I feel like Calvert-Lewin for Kane is such a straight swap. So if Kane's been pocketed out of the game by somebody, then Calvert-Lewin doesn't really offer anything different.
Well, I think Calvert-Lewin is quicker than Harry Kane in general purposes, but he wouldn't play ahead of Kane. I mean, it'd only take Harry Kane to play injured, but then again, you could play Rashford as a striker or Sterling.
So that's what I'd move to. I think if Kane got injured, Ings would always have to be the sub. I would then move Rashford up front and bring Sancho into the starting 11 if Kane got injured.
You see, Sancho is in my starting 11.
I've gone Sterling, Kane, Rashford for the start.
I've gone Sterling, Kane, and Sancho. Sterling to the left, Sancho off the right.
I've purely just gone off form for England. Sancho's not quite matched his Bundesliga form for England yet, so that's enough for me to get Rashford in over him. Well,
we shall see.
My honourable mentions, if we were to pick an original 25-man squad, would be obviously Jordan Pickford, Danny Ings. I can't remember who else. Interesting one. Borussia Dortmund midfielder Jude Bellingham.
Not for me. Not yet. Anyway. So 2022, I think that's a different matter. I think he goes to Qatar, but not for the Euros yet.
Well, we got the Euros this year. Next year we got the World Cup in December. Yeah. It's a good time to be a football fan.
Depends if he starts showing it even more for Dortmund. If he starts and gains some form, then I can't see anyone else getting in because he's young and he's got potential for the future.
Well, it was a toss-up, Jude Bellingham or Lingardinho. You know what I mean?
Well, Lingard is starting to coming back into form now, but I still don't think he'd make my England squad. With the amount of attacking midfielders we've got on offer.
What I've taken from that is include for the whole 23-man squad and honourable mention, John's had no mention of Jadon Sancho or John Stones, two of the most informed English players around at the moment.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Sancho's in my team.
Was he? Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening. I thought I didn't hear his name.
Thanks, Rob. No, yeah, Sancho's in the midfield.
Oh, yeah. I knew I didn't hear him in attack. That's my bad then. But still, John Stone's the most informed defender around, not even in the honourable mentions.
Yeah, you see, for me, John Stones starts, so the form he's been in and the form he shows for England as well, I think you can't not have him in. I mean, it'd be a different question if Joe Gomez was fit, because I think Stones and Gomez would start.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Slabhead, not at all.
I don't rate Harry Maguire. Probably one of the worst Premier League transfers.
As a Man United fan, he is a bit Marmite.
Yeah,
you either love him or you rate him.
He's going because I think he's in my start in the lineup purely because I think he suits a back four better. Whereas the reason I won't put in Cody or Mings over him is because I think they're very much more suited to a back three. I think if you are going to go four at the back and have the two centre backs, then I think Maguire is the strongest option to play alongside Stones, even despite not being the best defender out of the three options you've got there.
I think the good thing is with the England squad going into 2021 is we've got versatility. We've got players that can play in a number of roles, whether in a back four or a back five, for example.
Yeah, and even in the midfield as well. I mean, like we've all picked Sacco, who can play on both wings, can even go left back if needed. Exactly.
Well, let me just run through the starting 11 I would pick going into our first game of the tournament against Czech Republic, is it? Is it Czech Republic or is it Croatia?
I'm not sure.
It's one of them two, but who knows? So Nick Pope in goal. Trippier, Stones, Connor Cody and Luke Shaw. Declan Rice, Jack Grealish, Mason Mount, Raheem Sterling, Harry Kane and Jadon Sancho would be my starting 11.
Croatia first.
It is Croatia.
Croatia, then Scotland, then Czech Republic.
Bring on the Scots.
Obviously, Czech Republic game being one day after we were supposed to have all restrictions lifted.
What's this? We're giving our starting 11s, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got two options for mine. I've got a 4-back and a 5-back because...
Going to have to push it for time. We've got 3 minutes left on this recording.
Oh, dear. Right, and back four, pretty much similar to yours, really. There's only a couple of changes in there. Pope, Alexander-Arnold, Maguire, Stone, Shaw, Rice, Foden, Grealish, Sterling, Kane, Rashford. And if we go 5 at the back, which I'm pretty sure Gareth will, if I had to stick to that system, it would be Pope, Alexander-Arnold, Stones, Cody, Mings, Shaw, Rice and Foden or Grealish. I can't pick between the two. Sterling, Kane, Rashford.
I'll go for mine and then I'll go through like all your betting heads. So for mine, it's Pope, Walker, Maguire, Mings, Chilwell, Mount, Foden, Rice, Maddison, Rashford, Kane. 4-4-2. And I just want to put out there, Betfred put up 2 days ago actual betting odds for the Euros. England are 5-1. France are 5-1. Belgium are 11-2. Spain are 7-1. Germany are 15-2. Current holders, Portugal are 6th favourite at 9-1, with the Netherlands at 9-1. Italy are 10-1 and Croatia are 25-1.
Don't you mean Wolves, not Portugal?
Ah, yeah. Love their third kit. They love it, don't they?
Surely Portugal are going to play their games at Molineux if it's all in England.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, they're the odds. England are favourite.
Anyway, the omens are good going into this year's tournament. And we roughly agree on who would start for England this summer. Vaguely. But we are pushing for time. We've got 2 minutes left on this Zoom call.
I think we all name a winner each, and that's a great way to end it, I think.
As much as I want to say England, I think it will be... It's hard to choose this. This is a really difficult one. I'm going to say Portugal again.
That is a tempting one. I think it's hard to look past France, but I'm being confident and saying England.
Yeah, I'm going with Rob. I would have... out of the two, if there's two, like, you know, you can't deny Mbappe and the guys that are on the French team,
Yeah.
but England for me, definitely. If it's hosted in England, England all the way.
Head says France, heart says England. Going with
Exactly
the heart.
that.
It's the same for me. England, I want England to win. And as much as I'd love
I mean,
them,
it would
I
be
think
nice
Portugal,
to see him win in our
Portugal or
lifetimes.
France, or even maybe Belgium. I don't know. It's open for sure.
Yeah, Belgium are the number one ranked team in the world. So
It's very open for sure. But I think we do need to wrap this up because we've got less than a minute left on this Zoom call now, and I don't want it to just cut off all of a sudden. So let's bring episode 13 to an end. Thank you very much for listening, and come on, England. That's cheesy. I'm not going to say that.
bye,
Take
guys.
care and goodbye.
Bye.